Got it. Praise be to Yahweh. All right. Got a couple of people let in. Okay, great. And Shalom. All right, everyone. I think it's appropriate for us to discuss tonight about whether or not who, the angel of the so-called LORD is. Our Torah portion we've been reading about gives us a lot of dimensions and things of that nature, and some of the articles that are found inside of the Mishkan. We're going to turn our attention to that later on the Shabbat. But for right now, I think it's very important for us to understand something about the Creator, and He wants us to know this so we can see Him in the proper light. Okay. There's some questions to whether or not Moses saw the Most High. There's questions about whether or not Aaron and his sons, Nadab and Abihu, and the 70 elders saw the Most High. Was the Most High inside of the fire that was in the bush? When he first approached Moses, was the Most High inside, or one of the messengers who came to visit Abraham? So there's a lot of questions around this, and I don't want us to lose track and sight of who the Most High is, because a lot of people are suggesting that He is a human being, and there's a lot of confusion around that. So I want to kind of go over that a little bit tonight and answer any questions that anyone may have, because these are real questions, right? These are real concerns for us, because a lot of individuals want the Most High to be a human being, and He's not a human being. Okay. And so if they can make Him into a man, they'll do everything they possibly can to make Him into a human being. Okay. You guys remember the story about the Most High appearing, or Yahweh appearing to Abraham at the Oaks of Mamre? You guys remember the story about Sodom and Gomorrah? Interested. Okay. Now, in this story here in chapter number 18, and write this down for yourself so you can have something to reference. So in chapter number 18 is the story about the Most High, Yohewah, speaking with Abraham. Okay. In verse number 2 says this. It says, verse number 1, Yahweh appeared to Abraham by the Oaks of Mamre as he sat at the entrance to the tent, to the tent during the heat of the day. And he raised his eyes and he looked, and there in front of him stood 3 men. Okay, so we got 3 men. Let me write it right here. Genesis 18. 3 men. So then the question comes up, is the Most High one of these men? Because this is what the Christians are saying. They're saying that the Most High is a human, that he has an avatar, and that He comes down as a man, as a human being. And so tonight I'm going to show you that that is not true. That's not true. The Most High will never, listen, nobody will ever see the Most High. Okay. No one's ever going to see His face. No one's ever going to be in His presence like that. Let me see. That's 23, 34, 32. Ezekiel, what is this? 32. I should have went here first. In Exodus chapter number 33, verse number 20. And let me give you some context. Moshe was asking to request to see the Most High. And the Most High says that you will never, ever see my face. Okay. And he says this in verse number 20, he says, but my face, he continued, you cannot see because a human being cannot look at me and remain alive. Okay. On Mount Sinai, the Most High had warned the children of Israel through Moshe to tell them not to try to break through and look at him or to see him. Otherwise, he would break out upon them and he would kill them. Okay. So in context, the Most High is letting us know that no human being will ever be able to see Yah's face. Okay. But we have the idea of some prophets being able to see him. And who are some of those prophets that saw him or had said that they saw him? So we have Isaiah chapter number 6, right? And then we have Ezekiel chapter number 1, and I think in chapter number 3. And Isaiah, he said that he saw the king, and he said, I'm good as dead because now I have seen him. We have in Judges chapter number 6, okay, that Manoah, which is Samson's father, said that I have seen him and I'm going to die. We have Jacob, who has said he saw Malach of the Most High, or he saw the Most High in a dream and said, I have seen the Most High, and now that I know he's in his place, I will name this place Bethel. And then he says he was afraid. I didn't know that he was here, right? So in his dream, he saw the Most High. But now the Most High is telling us through Moshe that what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass by. He said, I will cause all my goodness to pass before you. Okay. And in your presence, I will pronounce the name of Yahweh. And moreover, I show favor to whomever I will, and I display my mercy to whomever I will. He says, but my face, he continued, you cannot see, because a human being cannot look at me and remain alive. And I want us to remember this. Here, he said, this is a place near me, stand on the rock, and when my glory passes by, I will put you inside a crevice in the rock and cover you with my hand until I have passed by. Then I will remove my hand and you will see my back, but my face is not to be seen. Okay. So he allows Moses to see his back. Okay. So then the question comes is like, is he a human being? Is the Most High like a man? Does he has a back? Here he says he has a face. Here he says he has a back. And in Exodus chapter number 23, or excuse me, in 24, it says that the elders of Israel and those who went up to go eat saw his feet. Okay. Right. So then we're thinking, well, he has these attributes like a feet, he has a face, he has a back. Okay. And he's the one who said, I'll let you see my back. Okay. And but my face you cannot see. So the Most High does have a back. The Most High does have a face. The Most High does have feet, but the Most High is not human. Okay. Because he, in contrast here, says, because a human being cannot look at me and remain alive. So the Most High is not on this same level that we've been told, okay? And this is a problem for us, because if you think that he is a human being, or if you think that he is coming in the presence of a Malachim, so this is the next thing I want to bring out. So when he showed up and he appeared to Abraham, it says that he raised his eyes and he looked, in front of him stood three men. And in the Hebrew text, it says Anashim, which are men, okay? And on seeing them, these three men, he ran from the tent door to meet them. He prostrated himself on the ground and said, my master, if I have found favor in your sight, please don't leave your servant, okay? Please let me send for some water, okay? So people would say, oh, well, he's talking to the Most High right here, okay? And this is not necessarily true, because this is the same phrase that I'm going to show you in chapter number 19 that Lot said to the two angels, okay? The three men that are listed right here in chapter number 19, I'm going to show you that these, out of the three men, two of them went down to Sodom and Gomorrah. Two went down to Sodom and Gomorrah, and they're recognized as Malachim, okay? meaning messengers, because that's what a Malachim is. You know, the Mem and then the Lamed and then the Kaf, the final Kaf, which is the from, which is the Mem, and then the lock right here means to walk, and then that's the staff in the person's what? His Kaf, which is his palm of his hand. So the staff in the hand, and the staff in the hand is someone who's walking on behalf of someone else to deliver a message. So the Most High is not the or a messenger. Okay. He actually sends messengers. Okay. So here it says that these three men came, they sat down, he fetched for some water, and they sat under a tree, and he got some piece of bread, and guess what? And they replied, he asked them in verse number 5, I will bring a piece of bread now that you have come to your servant. Refresh yourselves, and before you go on. Very well, they replied, do what you have said. Okay. Abraham hurried to the tent and Sarah, so forth, and she makes this food. Let's scroll down because we only have a certain amount of time. And let me see. Yahweh said to Abraham. So now people think that the human being, the two out of the men that came earlier in verse number 2, they believe that those men are, one of them is Yahweh, because it says Yahweh said to Abraham. Okay. That's what they said. This is Yahweh speaking. Okay. So my job right now is to show you and to teach you to understand that the Most High is sending messengers. Okay. And he has one of his messengers that speaks on his behalf. He never, listen to me very carefully, the Most High, in any prophet or any vision that a prophet would see the Most High, they would see him in a vision. Yaakov saw the Most High in a what? What did he see the Most High in? What did he see Yahweh in? He saw him in a dream. Okay. So the Most High gives dreams and he gives visions. Okay. And the reason why he's doing this is because why does he have to do a dream, or why does he have to do a vision according to what we read in Exodus chapter number 33? Because a human being can never see his face. So either he's lying or he's telling the truth. Okay. So he told Moses, no human being will ever see my face and live. No human being will ever see me. So then the question is this Yahweh right here in an avatar? Is he coming disguised as a man? Does he have a human body that he comes in to visit people? You see? And that's what the Christians are using, saying that he actually came as a human being in the person of Christ, or the guy Yeshua, or whatever his name is. Okay. So if they can make that stick right here, and they could say that he came in a human form as a human being, then it means that God could be a man at any time. And the man that they're talking about is the one in the New Testament. Okay. So who's having this conversation with Abraham? It says Yahweh's having a conversation, right?
Yes.
Exodus chapter number 3, just putting the pieces together for us. Okay. Now Moshe was tending the sheep of Yithro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, leading the flock to the far side of the desert, and he came to the mountain of Elohim, to Koreb, and the angel of Yahweh appeared to him. Okay. So the Christians are going to say that this right here, and also the Muslims, they're going to say that this angel of Yohei is either Christ, okay, or they're saying that this is Yahweh. This is the Most High, that he's appearing, because he can come as a man, he can come as an angel. Okay. So he appeared to him in a fire blazing from the middle of the bush. Who? The Malach of Yahweh. Okay. He looked and he saw that although the bush was flaming with fire, yet the bush was not being burned up. So Moshe said, I'm going over to see this amazing sight and find out why the bush isn't being burned up. Then Yahweh saw that he had gone over to see, and Elohim called to him from in the middle of the bush, Moshe, Moshe. And he answered, here I am. So now that it says Yahweh saw and Elohim called, they are associating that with the angel of Yahweh. Okay. But remember, the Most High can use, and he's sending a messenger. A Malach is a messenger of Yahweh. Okay. So the messenger, and he uses messengers of fire. Okay. Just like we're going to see in Judges number 6. I'm bringing you to these different places so you can kind of try to grasp and understand why the Most High is sending these individuals. He sends the angel of the Most High. That's why he's called an angel of, okay, of Yahweh, right? Yahweh is not an angel, okay? So he sends his messengers. He never leaves his throne, okay? And then out of it, he speaks to him and he tells him through this Malach that listen, here I am. He said, do not come any closer. The Most High is speaking through the messenger, the angel of Yahweh, or the angel of the Lord. Okay, he's speaking to him. He said, don't come any closer. Take off your sandals off your feet, because the place where you're standing is holy ground. And then he says, I am the Elohim of your father, he continued. Okay, so the Most High is using the Malach of Yahweh to speak these words. You see, I am the Elohim of your father. I'm the Elohim of Abraham, the Elohim of Yitzchak, and the Elohim of Yaakov. Moshe covered his face because he was afraid to look at Elohim. Okay. But the fact is this is the Malach of Yahweh that's a messenger in fire. He's afraid. Okay. He's not looking directly at him. But Yahweh said, I have seen how my people are being oppressed in Egypt, and I heard their cry, and I'm going to for the release from their slave masters because I know their pain. Yes, Kel.
I was just wondering, do you think that there would be a reason why he would send his messengers, his angels, to talk on behalf of him? Like he's chosen to talk to certain people in the scriptures, but in other parts of the scriptures, he chooses to send his messengers. So is there a reason, do you think, that he in some parts he decides to send a messenger instead of talking to people?
No, everyone that he does talk to, okay, so all the different ways that the Most High has spoken, right? So when he talked to when he came and he visited King Abimelech, he came to him in a dream. Okay. Right. So he goes to this king in a dream and tells him, hey, don't touch Abraham's wife because, I'll kill you. Right. And he says, well, I didn't touch her. I'm pure. My hands are pure. The man lied to me. He said, no, I stopped you. So he talks to people in dreams. That's how he talks to people. We see this in the book of Job too. Okay. So dreams is part of the package. The other way that he speaks to people is through a vision. And usually when he's talking in a vision, we know that one of the individuals he did was called Balaam. Do you guys remember Balaam? He spoke to Balaam through a vision. He said, I see. Okay. So he spoke to him through a vision. He spoke to Yashayahu, which is Isaiah, in a vision. He speaks to, or he showed and spoke to Ezekiel in a vision. Okay. When Jeremiah said he woke up as if from a dream, he was in a vision. Okay. So the reason, to answer your question, the reason why he speaks to people in dreams and visions, or like to a Malach, is because the Most High is a king. Okay, so just imagine this for a second. If a king was going to send a message, he would have to send it, like if you watch the Game of Thrones, they send it through the raven, right? Or you send a messenger. That's how we do. You send a word from the authority. The king doesn't leave the throne to go deliver a message. And this is where we're getting confused. It's because we think the Most High is just arbitrarily just, leaving his throne and coming down and just talking to people. And that's because of the way that the text has been written in English to make us believe that he will do that. And they're doing that on purpose, because if he's left his throne and he became like a human being, that it's more probable for Christ to be God. That's the reason why they wrote it like that. Okay. But it's not true. The Most High has never, he doesn't leave his throne. He'll bring the throne, but he won't leave the throne. Yes, somebody else has a question?
I was just saying that that's the heart of Greek mythology, that they have someone come down, or half man, half God, or man God, instead of Yah being who he is, the creator.
Yes, perfect. So when you look at, thank you, that was wonderful, because that's the goal. The goal is to make you think that Elohim is like us, right? Like he says that I made man in my image, but that's been taken to understand that Elohim is like a human being, or he made us like he has arms and hands and feet and such. No, the thing is the image that you and I hold right now is the image that he saw was fit for us to be in. Okay. When Ezekiel when he saw a vision, and I'll go there right quick just to kind of show you what I'm talking about. When you look at Ezekiel, right here, this is where we have Ezekiel. Or palace. Okay, that's it. Where's it at? Does that see Ezekiel? I'll move 40 more over. That's that. Ezekiel. Okay, here's Ezekiel. Listen what Ezekiel says. Okay. Let's just start in verse 20. No, it's better for us to read the whole thing. Let's just read it. All right. So remember, he's telling us about these four creatures, right? And I just got to start in verse number 1. We're just going to read. It said in the 30th? Yeah. The 30th year, on the 5th day of the 4th month, while I was among the exiles by the Kavar River, the heavens were opened, and I saw visions of Elohim. Okay. This is in Ezekiel chapter number 1. On the 5th day of the month, which was during the 5th year of King Jehoiakim's exile, the word of Yahweh came to the Kohen Ezekiel, okay, Yechezkel, the son of Buzi, in the land of the Kasdim, which is the Chaldeans by the Kavar River. There the hand of Yahweh was on him. He said, I looked and I saw a windy storm approaching from the north and a huge cloud with flashing fire. It was glowing brightly all around with the color of gleaming amber within the fire. Inside, there appeared to be 4 living creatures that looked like human beings. We look at it in Hebrew, it says like. They're not human. They look like human beings, okay? And this is because it's the only thing that he can think and say, well, what can I compare it to? He's comparing it to what a human being looks like, okay? He says, but each one had 4 faces and 4 wings. So each one of these creatures has 4 faces and 4 wings. Their legs were straight and their feet were like calves' hoofs. So does that sound like a human being to you? No. Straight legs? No kneecaps, okay? They glittered like burnished bronze, okay? So they must have had like a silhouette of what a human would, okay? And it says beneath their hands, beneath their wings, they had human hands on their 4 sides, okay? The 4 of them had faces and wings as follows. They touch one another with their wings. So all these 4 creatures, their wings are touching each other. They did not turn when they moved. So they're like a, what do they call it? A hummingbird. You ever seen a hummingbird move? It just moves like up, down, straight, back, forth, and it never turns, right? So he's saying that these creatures, they just moved. They never turned. They never went to the left. They never went to the right. Okay. But they moved. They moved straight forward. It says each one moves straight forward. And as for the appearance of their faces, they had human faces in front. Each one had 4 line faces on the right side, and on each of the 4 had a bull's face on the left, and each of the 4 had an eagle's face, okay? and they have in parentheses or brackets here in the rear. So this was added. So they're letting us know the directions from where they're coming. Okay. So if it's in the front, then it's the one in the east. Okay. Because if a person is to face the east, because that's where everything comes from, and that's where the sun rises. So the front is going to be the east, which this face of this in particular man's face, okay, is looking towards the east. Then the face on the right, which is in the south, if you're looking towards, if you stand right now to the east and you look at where your right hand is, it's going to be on the south. And the bull's face is on the left. Okay, so if it's on the left and this bull's face, the bull's face is on the north. Okay. And the eagle's face is in the rear, which is in the west. Okay. Thus, their faces. And as for their wings, each had two that stretched upward and they joined those of the others. So remember that all the wings are touching. And two more covered their bodies. Each of what? These living creatures moved in the direction of any of its faces. Okay. So they all four had these faces. So when the face was moving to the west, all of them moved to the west. So what face was being moved? The face in the rear, which is the eagle. Okay. And each direction, in whichever direction the spirit wanted to go. So they're moving right, left, straight, back. They went without turning as they move. Okay. Now listen to this. The appearance of the living creatures with them was something that looked like fiery coals burning, as the way torches do. So when it talks about their faces, this human face right here, this lion's face right here, this bull's face, and this eagle's face had faces as if it was coals from a fiery burning torch with fire flashing here and there. That was what they look like. So they may have had the image of a human or an image of an eagle. They're not eagles. They're not bulls. They're not any of those things. They're fiery images of those creatures. See? And so that's what they look like. They look like what torches do, like the flame. So every time you see this, they're looking like a flame of this. They're not an eagle like with eagle feathers. Okay. It just has that image. Okay. And so it had fire flashing here and there. Okay. Right. Between the living creatures. The fire had a brilliance, and out of the fire went lightning. Okay. So there's fire, there's lightning. These creatures, their faces look like coals burning the way torches do, and there's fire going here and there and lightning. So this is a picture of who is around the throne of the Most High. Okay. And these living creatures kept speeding here and there, like they were flashes of lightning themselves in verse number 14. So every time that they moved, it wasn't like they were just, every time they moved, it was like they were flashing of lightning, like pow, pow, just boom, boom, boom. You know how lightning is, right? Here, and you can see it and you can't. So every time they moved, it was like they were in this direction and it was in this direction. And then he says, as I gazed at the living creatures, I saw wheels on the ground. He saw wheels on the ground, one next to each of the four living creatures. Okay. And he says, all four wheels looked the same. The inner gleamed like beryl. So they had this fire in them too. Okay. They gleamed, and their structure seemed to be that of a wheel inside of a wheel. And they moved, right? And they could go in any of the four directions without turning as they moved. And so their rims were tall. They were fearsome because the rims of all four were full of eyes all around. When the living creatures moved, right? Because they're in these wheels, the wheels moved along with them. When the creatures were lifted off the ground, the wheels went with them. Okay. So they're powered by these wheels. And wherever the spirit was to go, they went, right? So in the direction the spirit wanted to go. So when the wheels are lifted up next to them, because the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. So that's what's directing them. When the living creatures moved, the wheels moved. When the former stood still, the latter stood still. And when the former was lifted off the ground, the wheels were lifted up next to them, because the spirit of the creatures, the living creatures, was in the wheels. Okay, so they're being moved by their spirit, and how they're traveling is through these wheels. And so now here's the part where we're about to get to show you that they are the creatures that are beneath the throne of Yah. Okay. And this is why it's important for us to understand, because I think, Kel, you asked the question, well, when do you know that he's talking to somebody, or why would he do this, or why would he send a message? Okay. So if we don't understand how the throne is set up, then you and I will never understand that the Most High will never become a man. He would never come down. Okay. Because no man can ever see him and live. Okay. So over the heads of the living creatures, what appeared to be a dome, okay, which is a rakia, like the one that he made in the book of Genesis. So there's what appeared, this is what he said it looked like. It appeared, okay, like it appeared to be a dome glittering like ice. It wasn't ice. It looked like ice to him. That's all he can associate it with. Okay, so there's no ice that's floating around in the air. Okay, so it looked like it was glittering like it was ice. We don't even know what the substance is. Okay, and then remember, he's in a vision. It was awesome. And he spread out over their head. It was spread out over their heads. What? This dome that was glittering above them. Okay. And under the dome, each had a pair of wings spread out straight toward those of the others. And each pair, which he had, covered his body, which is confirming what he said earlier. Okay. So now he says, I heard the sound of their wings when they moved. It was like the sound of rushing water, like the voice of Shaddai, okay, like the noise of a tumultuous crowd of an army. And when they stopped, they lowered their wings. So every time they would move and travel, you would hear this tumultuous crowd, this sound, this army, this, this very loud sound like Shaddai. And then he says, whenever there was a sound from above the dome over their heads, they stopped and they lowered their wings. So he's saying there had to be a sound over them for them to stop. Now, above the dome that was over their heads was something like a throne that looked like sapphire. Okay. This is what he can associate it with in the vision. And on it and above it, what happened to appear to be a person. Okay. So he's saying it happened to be, or it appeared like a person. In the Hebrew, is like. Okay, now listen to this. I saw what looked gleaming, amber color fire radiating from what appeared to be his waist upward. Okay, so there's this radiating amber color fire is gleaming, and downward, what appeared to be his waist. It wasn't his waist. It appeared to be his waist. I saw what looked like fire, giving a brilliant light all around him. Okay. So he's seen a silhouette of something. He's seeing that this gleam, this amber fire is coming up from what appeared to be his waist upward, and what appeared to be his waist downward. He's just seeing his division. So, waist means in the middle. So from the middle of him up to the middle of him down. So you got a amber color fire radiating and gleaming upward. And from the middle of this being, you have this fire, a brilliant light all around him on the bottom. Okay. The brilliance around him looked like a rainbow in a cloud on a rainy day. This was how the appearance of the glory of Yahweh looked when I saw it. And I fell on my face, and I heard someone speaking with me. Okay. So he fell on his face in this vision. Okay. And then, of course, the next chapter, what they have here, the voice says something to him. He said to me, human being, stand up. I want to talk with you. I want to talk with you. And as he spoke to me, who? The one who was a fire and amber color brilliance upward and downward. You saw nothing but fire and this brilliance around it. And a spirit entered me and put me on my feet. And I heard him who was speaking to me. Okay. And he said, human being, I'm sending you to the people of Israel, the nation of rebels who have rebelled against me. Okay. So I went through this chapter to help us understand that the Most High is on a throne, okay? And wherever the creatures go, that's where he goes. You understand? So the throne, right, is moving everywhere, wherever it goes. If it goes to the east, if it goes to the west, it goes to the north, and it goes to the south. Okay? So one of the scriptures that I want to bring you to right quick, I think is in Isaiah. Is it in Isaiah? Yes, it is. Listen what the Most High says. Or is it about his handful? Okay. All right. He said where's it say he sit as a circle? To the tent. Okay. Let's start verse 1. Comfort and keep comforting my people, says your Elohim. Tell Yerushalayim to take heart and proclaim to her that she has completed her time of service, that her guilt has been paid off, that she has received at the hand of Yahweh double. Like in our Torah portion a week ago, that you got paid double for your mishpatim, your crime. If you got caught stealing, whatever you got caught doing, you had to pay double. This is what he's talking about. A voice cries out, clear a road through the desert for Yahweh. Level a highway in the Aravav for Elohim. That's a voice. Okay. Let every valley be filled and every mountain and hill be lowered and the bumpy places made level and the crags become plain. Why? Because then the glory of Yahweh will be revealed. What glory? The glory that we just saw in Ezekiel chapter number 1. All humankind together will see it, for the mouth of Yahweh has spoken. A voice says, proclaim. And I answer, what should I proclaim? All humanity is merely grass, and his kindness like wildflowers. Why is he saying this? Because the grass dries up and the flower fades. When a wind, a ruach from Yahweh blows on it, surely the people are grass. And keep in mind, he's talking about the glory of Yahweh will be revealed and all humankind together will see it in verse number 5. Okay. Verse number 9. You who bring good news to Zion, get yourself up on a high mountain. You who bring good news to Jerusalem, cry out at the top of your voice and don't be afraid to shout aloud and say to the cities of Yehuda, here is your Elohim. Why? Because they're going to see the glory of Yahweh. Here comes the master Yahweh with power, and his arm will rule for him. Look, his reward is with him, and his recompense is before him. He is like a shepherd feeding his flock and gathering his lambs with his arm, carrying them against his chest, gently leading the mother sheep. Now, according to the glory of the Most High, he's now going to describe to us who he is and what he's done. Okay, so this should let us know that the Most High is not a human being. Okay, he said, who has counted the handfuls of water in the sea? Not a human being. Who's measured off the sky with a ruler? Who gauged how much dust is there on the earth and weighed the mountains in the scales or the hills in a balance? Who's done this? The Most High. So when we make him a man and he says, you can never see me lest you die, this is the reason why, folks. He said, who has measured the spirit of Yahweh? Who has been his counselor in instructing him? Nobody. Whom did he consult to gain understanding? Who taught him how to judge? Taught him what he needed to know? Showed him how to discern? Nobody. The individual that's sitting on that sapphire throne is the one that we're describing right here. The nations are like a drop in the bucket. They count like a grain of dust on the scales. The islands weigh as little as specks of dust. Lebanon could not be suffice for fuel, or its animals enough for burnt offerings. Why? Because we're talking about Yahweh. Before him, all the nations are like nothing. He regards them less than nothing. With whom then will you compare Elohim? Why is he mentioning this? Because what we've done is we compared him to a man. He's letting us know right here, you can't compare me to nobody. By what standard will you evaluate him? An image made by a craftsman, which the goldsmiths overlay with gold, for which then they cast silver chains. Is that who you're going to evaluate me to? Is that who you're going to compare me to? A man too poor to afford an offering chooses a piece of wood that won't rot. Then he seeks a skilled artisan to prepare him an image that won't fall over. Don't you know? Don't you hear? Haven't you been told from the start? Don't you understand how the earth is set up? Now he's going to tell us something. He who sits above the circle of the earth. What? He sits above the circle of the earth. The earth is a circle. You understand? It's a circle, and he sits above it. Okay? For whom its inhabitants appear like grasshoppers. So the Most High is not going to come down to become one of his inhabitants so he can end up being a grasshopper. Okay? Stretches out the heavens like a curtain. Like we're reading our Torah portion about, he's telling them to make these curtains, which we're going to get into on Shabbat. So he spreads out the heavens like a curtain. No man can do this. He spreads them out like a tent to live in. You see? So the Most High is not a human being. He will never come. He reduces princes to nothing, the rulers of the earth to emptiness. A prince is a human being. The rulers are human beings. He says, scarcely are they planted, which he mentioned earlier to talk about they're like grass. He's not going to become like a grasshopper, folks. He's not going to become like a ruler. He's not going to become like a prince. He's not going to become like a human. He's not going to become like a Moloch. He's not going to become like anything because he is the living Elohim. He sits above the circle of the earth. On what? On his throne. Scarcely their stem has taken root in the ground. He blows on them. Then they dry up, and the whirlwind carries them off like straw. With whom then will you compare me? Do never compare the Most High to a man. With whom am I equal? Ask the set apart one. You see? And then he goes on to tell us something else. But before I go there, let me just explain to you. When we had the vision in Ezekiel, and he's talking about these creatures, and they're moving. Okay, they move about the circle of the earth. They move in the east, they move in the west, they move in the south, and they move in the north. And they're like flashes of lightning all over the place. They just flash all over the place. So the Most High's throne moves wherever it goes. So wherever the Spirit tells it to go, that's where they move. The Most High travels this way. So when we looked at Mount Sinai, when he came and there was an earthquake and there was a great sound of a shofar, that was them inviting his majestic kingship to the earth. That's why everything was shaken. That's why the sound was there. So the Most High did not leave his throne and come down. He brought the throne, okay? The throne was with him, and it said the whole heavenly host, and I think there's other passages that talk about all his myriads and myriads of Malachim was with him. So this wasn't just the Most High. It was his whole entire retinue that was there with him, okay? So he says that with whom then will you compare me? With whom am I equal? Asked the set apart one. Turn your eyes to the heavens and see who created these. He brings out the army of them in sequence, summoning each by name. Through his great might and his massive strength, not one of them is missing. Then he asked a question. Why do you complain, Yaakov? Why do you say, Israel, my way is hidden from Yahweh? Why are my rights ignored by my Elohim? He said, haven't you heard that the everlasting Yahweh, the Elohim, the creator of the ends of the earth, does not grow tired or weary? So a man, a human being, will grow tired and weary, like you have with your character Christ of the New Testament. He's the human being. His understanding cannot be fathomed. I want you to remember this verse. I want you to remember this verse. So when you go to the New Testament and the man's standing by the well and he's exhausted and he's hungry and he's asking somebody for something to drink, you should know that that's not the creator. Yahweh invigorates the exhausted and he gives strength to the powerless. Young men may grow tired and weary. Even the fittest may stumble and fall, but those who hope in Yahweh will renew their strength. They will soar aloft as with eagle's wings. When they are running, they won't grow weary. And when they are walking, they won't get tired because Yah provides them with their strength. So who are you going to compare him with? One of his Malachim that are his servants? Though they're his servants. So let me take you one last place before I let you go. So we saw that in chapter number 23 of Exodus. Where is it at? 23. Chapter number 23, the Most High tells the children of Israel through Moshe, I'm sending my angel, verse number 20, ahead of you. Okay. An angel ahead of you, a Malach, to guard you. Okay. That's what his job is to do and guard you. I'm sending this guy. I'm sending him. Okay. Then he goes on and tells you that he is my angel. I'm sending my angel. And guess what? He won't forgive. He doesn't forgive anybody. Okay. And he doesn't forgive any of your wrongdoings, because if you embitter him, he won't forgive you. Okay. So you need to listen and do what he says. So they think that this is what they call the angel of the Lord. He does not forgive. Okay. That's what he doesn't do. He does not forgive. So he says, this is my angel. So my angel can't be, my means possessive. The Most High possesses this. Okay. He possesses this angel like he does other ones. So he sends them to do their jobs. Okay. When he talked about in Genesis chapter number 18, and I know I'm going a little quickly, he said this. He said that I'm going to send, let me see right here. Is it 18? Is it Genesis 18? In 18, I think verse number 21, he says this. Yahweh says in 20, Yahweh said, the outcry of Sodom and Gomorrah is so great and their sin is so serious, so that I will now go and see whether their deeds warrant the outcry that has reached me, or if not, I will know. So he says, I will go down. I will go down. Okay. So here's the evidence that, so let's see who went down. Verse number 9, chapter number 19 says this, verse number 1. The two angels came to Sodom that evening when Lot was sitting. Okay. So move from, these are the same ones that were with him. Remember, he sent two of them away. So those men were disguised. They were really Malachim. They were really Malachim. Okay. And the other third one, which they call the man, it was a Malachim. And more than likely, he was the Malachim of Yahweh, meaning Yahweh was talking through him, just like the Most High said, I'm going to go see what's going on. So he sends these two Malachim down to Sodom that evening. Okay. So remember, he said, I will go. Well, he's going. I'm sending two of my Malachim. I'm sending two of my messengers. Right. And then, so they show up, Lot sees him. We don't have a whole bunch of time to read it, but guess what he says? Down here, they said in verse number 12, the men, see, they're calling the Malachim again, the angels, the Malachim. The men said to Lot, do you have any people here beside yourself? Whoever you have in the city, son-in-law, your sons, your daughters, bring them out of this place, because we are going to destroy it. Okay, because Yahweh has become what? Aware. So how did Yahweh, who was still, on the throne, how did he become aware? Well, the guy got the message. They let him know this is what it is. Okay. So, and they said, the cry of this city has come against them, and Yahweh has sent us to destroy it. So we have to reconcile when he says, I'm going to go down. Well, the Most High, he never went down. He sends his messengers. Okay. And so where is the part? Okay. I think that's the last part I want to read on that. And then in 24, which is the final one, 24 that we just read last week, it says, Moshe said to Moshe, Yahweh said, come up to Yahweh, you, Aharon, Moshe, you, Aharon, Nadav, and Abihu, which is Aharon's sons, and the 70 leaders of Israel, prostrate yourselves at a distance. While Moshe alone approaches Yahweh, the others are not to approach. Interesting. And the people are not to go up with him. Why? Because I've already told you that if they come and they try to break in and see me, I will wipe them out. I will go against them. So Moshe came and he told all the people everything Yahweh said, including all the rulings. The people answered with one voice, we will obey every word that Yahweh has spoken. Now let me go right here. And then he did that. Okay. Verse number 9. Here it is, verse number 9. Moshe, Aharon, Nadav, and Avihu, and the 70 leaders went up. They saw the Elohim of Israel. See? So they say English, oh, they saw him. They saw God. And under his feet was something like sapphire. So we know, according to what we saw in Ezekiel's vision, that this sapphire stone has to do with a throne, okay? As clear as the sky itself, meaning as pure as it was. And it said he did not reach out his hand against these nobles or notables of Israel. On the contrary, they saw God even as they were eating and drinking. So people say, oh, this is saw, so they saw, okay? The problem with this, everyone, is that in the English, they're not telling you the truth, okay? So I'm going to show you something, and we'll close out with this. In Exodus chapter number 24, you're going to see that that word saw has two different definitions. Verse number 10, verse number 11 that we were in. Let's see, and I wanted to show it to you. So verse number 10 says this, and they saw, that you can see. Okay, and you guys are in my Hebrew class, so you know that's 7,200. That's what I A, right? That's what I A. That's the name of that, but this U on here is they. They saw, okay? And they saw Elohe, right? So we know, okay, they saw 7,200. They saw with their eyes, right? But people say, see, I told you, he saw him, okay? And he says under his feet was the sapphire, okay? His ragalah under his feet was paved sapphire stone, like the very heavens and clarity of itself and its purity. All right, so then in verse number 11, it says that, but on the nobles of the sons of Israel, not did he lay his hand, and what? This is a different word now. That word right there, they said they saw. Just like you saw in verse number 10, they saw. Well, this word right here is not saw. This word right here is kaza. Okay, kaza is a vision. Okay, because you and I both know that there was no sapphire on that mountain. There was no sapphire. So what they saw was they saw a vision of the Most High. And that's what allowed him to see the Elohim through the vision. Okay, and we know this to be true because this is chapter number 24. In chapter number 33, Moses is asking the Most High to see him. So if they saw him on the mountain, then why is he asking the Most High to see him if he already saw him? He didn't see him. They saw a vision of the Most High. They saw the pavement stone of the Most High. They did not see the Most High. They did not see his face. Okay. What they saw was that stone pavement, that stone of sapphire. Okay. So it lets us know that the Most High had rested his throne on Mount Sinai. Okay. So no human being will ever see the Most High. Okay. And when a person wants to make him into a human being, what they're doing is they're minimizing him because then they're going to say that they're like him. And the Most High says, you thought I was like you. I'm not like you. I'm the vision that Ezekiel saw. Okay. That's who I am. I'm the vision that Ezekiel saw. And so that's supposed to have an impact on our life. And I'm going to share more with you about why that's important on Shabbat. Because if you think that he became a man and you think he's a Malach and you think he'll come and visit you and you think that he'll come down and he'll show up in a fire and, he will sit down and eat with you and all this kind of stuff, then that makes him like us. And he's not going to be that. He'll never do that. He is never going to do that because he will never leave his throne. Ever. Okay. So we will never see the Most High. You might see his glory, but you'll never see his face. You might see the backside of that image, but you'll never see his face. You might see the sapphire in a vision, but you'll never see his face. So what this is supposed to do is invoke fear into us to be like, wait a minute, I got to show some respect. Because I'm not in a relationship with an angel. I'm not in a relationship with a human being. He said, who will you compare me to? What can I be compared to? He sits above the circle of the earth on a throne. And those creatures, okay, they're all around him. I mean, they're beneath him. But I got to show you one other thing before I go. It just came to me. And it's very short. Let's see. Isaiah. I want you to hear this before you go to sleep tonight. It's popped in my head, Isaiah. Isaiah chapter number 6 for your records. Listen what it says. In the year of King Uzziah's death, I saw the master sitting on a high and lofty throne. He's in a vision, by the way. The hem of his robe filled the temple. Okay. Listen what was above him. Seraphim stood over him. 6 wings, each with 6 wings. Okay. Seraphim, they're called the fiery ones. That's what a seraph is fire. 2 for the wings for covering his face. 2 for covering his feet, and 2 for flying. Why is he covering his face? We'll find out. They were crying out to each other, more Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh is Yahweh Zavaoth. The whole earth is filled with his glory. The doorpost shook at the sound of their shouting, and the house was filled with smoke. Then I said, woe to me. I too am doomed, because I, a man with unclean lips, living among a people with unclean lips, have seen with my own eyes the King, Yahweh Zavaoth. He saw him, the King, in a vision. And one of the seraphim, one of them flew to me with a glowing coal in his hand, which he had taken with the tongs from the altar. So we now know that there is in his temple, there is a altar. And he took the seraphim, this fiery one, took a coal off of the altar with these tongs like we have in our Torah portion. It's talking about this altar. He touched my mouth with it and said, here, this has touched your lips. Your iniquity is gone and your sin is atoned for. Most High didn't kill anybody innocent. He simply touched him with a fiery coal, right? Then I heard the voice of the master saying, whom shall I send? Who will go for us? I answered, here I am, send me. He said, go and tell this people, yes, you hear, but you don't understand. You certainly see, but you don't get the point. My point is, everyone, is that the Most High is right there in that text. He's telling us, whom shall I send? Whom shall we send? Who am I going to send? The Most High is not leaving to go do this work of an agent. He's not leaving to do the work of a Malak. We have been taught by these Christians and these people that don't know him, that are minimizing him so they can maximize the Christ character in the New Testament. You see what he just said? Whom shall we send? God's not going himself. He's sending someone. Well, that's not true, because the Genesis says that he's become like one of us. No, that text does not say that. It says they become like it, like the tree that they ate from, not like one of us. That's another thing that I could show you later. That it's not, they became like one of us. No, they didn't become like one of us. They became like Mimenu, meaning like it. Okay. They became like it, like what? The tree that they ate from. Oh, well, no, he said, let me go down. Let us go down and see this go see this tower that they built. No, the Most High is talking about him coming in his glory, on his throne, and descending to go see it for himself. You see? So the Most High is using Malachim. The Most High is sending messengers. That's what he does, because he's a king. He doesn't need to leave his throne. Okay. Even when he comes to bring judgment, and I think I'll show it to you on Shabbat. Even when he comes to bring judgment, he's not leaving his throne. He's not leaving his throne. He's bringing everybody and everything with him. He's bringing everybody. You understand? And he has chariots that are on fire. He has horses of fire Everything up in there is fire. The seraphim is fire, lightning, fire. It's all fire. You see? So the Most High is not coming down to be a human being. And that's what I wanted to share with you tonight. Any questions? Contributions? Go ahead, Kwa. You have something to say? Oh, thank you so much. Well, Lila, talk to each and every last one of you, and I'll see you if Yahweh is willing on Shabbat. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.